Please put your hands together for the one, the only, Mr. Nosa Tunde Oni.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, what an introduction. Just as a point of correction, not engineering management, too. Energy management. So I don't know engineering like that. So it's energy management. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank people that put this conference together, Success Conference, Mr. Ifeanyi, Paul, and the ALU community. This is truly fantastic. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor. It's a great honor. Before I go into the meat of the matter, I came with two people. I know they didn't know I was going to introduce them, but I'm going to introduce them. The first person is whatever you see online, social media, branding, he's the one behind it. So he's my manager. His name is Emmanuel. Please put your hands together for him. So if you want to learn about branding, you want to learn about social media, how to use social media as a tool for storytelling and thought leadership, he's your guy. And the last but not the least, my beautiful wife. The wind beneath my sails. I call her my COO. That's my chief operating officer because she's the one that organizes my life. So she came here to support me. So please, my dear wife, can you stand up? Thank you. All right. So the topic for this masterclass address is unlocking leadership, strategy, and purpose for the next generation. As I sat there and I listened to the panelists and the guys doing the question and answer, I was like, why did you guys even invite me? Like, you guys are very bright. Like, there are a lot of knowledge in this room, and it just shows what African Leadership University is about. So I just hope that with these few minutes, I'm able to just add to the knowledge and the wealth of knowledge that has been shared in this room. Okay. So I usually tell people, like, we're talking about the next generation. And I always tell people, like, the lady that was on the panel session, she said something, that before we can look towards the future, we need to look at the past. And I always tell people, I say that the seed of the future is always in the past. Yes, we are the next generation of leaders. Yes, we have a lot of people who are passionate about going into leadership. But on the continent of Africa, there's an architecture that we need to understand before we can even think of moving the continent forward. We need to understand what happened in the past. And a lot of things that happen in the past, they are the things that propel us into the future. Now, I'm just going to share a small story about a particular incident that happened in my past and how it sets me up for what I'm currently doing today. Now, think about 2014 or so. 2013, 2014. I had finished my bachelor's degree, right? And I had gone to meet my father. I said, okay, I'm done with petroleum engineering. I want to go for my master's, right? This is the course I want to do. It's in the UK, Scotland to be precise. This is the course, blah, blah, blah. This is the amount. And he said, okay, no problem. I'll talk to you about it later. Then he called me about a week later. And he said that he had this friend that usually would bring containers filled with supermarket items like pads, like drinks, like fruits, and even some cars into Nigeria, and she would sell it. My dad is a businessman, so any business opportunity he hears, he's just going to put money behind it. So before I knew it, he said he had already put 3 containers on the high sea. Some of them had cars inside, some of them had supermarket items, and they were coming into Nigeria. And I was like, okay, fantastic information. I don't know why you're telling me this, but interesting. And then he said that when those containers land in Nigeria, you're going to help me sell all of them. And I was looking at him like, I don't understand. Sell all of them. I'm a petroleum engineer. What concerns me with cars? What concerns me with supermarket items? And this is one thing he said. He said, if you want to go for your master's, you're going to sell all those items. Now, what am I going to do? I don't have any sales experience, but I wanted to go for my master's. Now, believe me, I don't know, there are a lot of people from Nigeria here. If you know of Isaleko, many people know of Isaleko. So it's a market. It's more rowdy than the fancy markets we have here. Very, very rowdy. So you have to go there. You have to speak Yoruba with the people there. and find how you can sell these supermarket items. And under 2 to 3 months, I actually went there. So as I'm standing here today, I know a lot about sanitary pads because I sold them. So I know you have always ultra. I know you have always heavy flow. I know you have always all the types of panty liners and sanitary pads because I sold them. And that is the seed that set me up for leadership and entrepreneurship that you see today. Before that time, I had never even ventured into selling or into entrepreneurship. What I wanted to do was to work with Shell. As I finished petroleum engineering, I had done my internship with Shell. So I just wanted to finish petroleum engineering and go and work with Shell. I had no idea about the future that I'm currently living today. So like I always say, the seed of the future is in the past. Remember that. Now, before we can talk about moving to the next generation of Africa, let's look at what happened in the past. What kind of leadership structure did we have in Africa in the past? Now, let's look at the Me syndrome and why it took root. Now, if you know anything about Africa's history, every country except Ethiopia was colonized. Every country except Ethiopia was colonized, right? And when the colonial masters brought colonialism into the continent of Africa, there was a type of leadership that they introduced into Africa. Leaders were often appointed to serve oppressive systems, right? They were not appointed to serve our communities. They were not appointed to serve you and I. They were appointed to serve those oppressive systems. True leadership was turned into a rare privilege instead of something of public duty. So that is the type of leadership they had brought into the continent of Africa. Secondly, it was me over we. It wasn't about the community, it was about my family. So presently today, you see some African countries, the particular person is president, his son is VP, the daughter is minister of sports, the son is minister of energy. It's about me, my family, instead of we. That was what was brought into our continent. Authority was equated with privilege, not service. And this is what happened and moved forward even after the post-independence eras. And Africa's development has been repeatedly hindered by such leadership failures. So that's the leadership you see today. That's how we came onto this continent. In fact, I was reading a particular book about, what's the book called? The State of Africa, right? And I remember when, I think it was Ivory Coast and Senegal were trying to break free from the French colony. And the French colony had a lot of other African countries under them. And I think Senegal wanted to break free. The president of Senegal was like, we need to break free. However, the president of Ivory Coast at the time was like, no, we're not leaving the French colony. So there was division. They brought division into the continent of Africa, and that is the reason why we're divided today. So yes, we might not be happy about some of the leadership on the continent of Africa. There are some countries that are doing well, like Rwanda, like Botswana. When we see countries doing well, we can look to them and say, what did you guys do that could make your country move forward? So like I said, before we move forward, we need to understand how we got to where we are. All right? Next slide, please. Now let's look at Africa today. Now this was the old style of leadership, where our parents' generation, where our grandparents' generation, our grandfathers, grandmothers, this was the type of leadership that they were under. But if you look at the climate of Africa today, what does it look like? Africa, first of all, is filled with youth. This university is a testament to that. Africa is filled with young people. Statistically, over 60% of Africa's population is under 25. It has never been like that before on this continent. Over 60% of Africa's population is under 25. So if you're a businessman here, if you're a leader, you need to understand the demography of the continent you're trying to do business in or you're trying to lead. Over 60% is under 25, making it the youngest continent globally. And by 2030, youth in Africa is going to grow by about 42%. In the country of Nigeria, the average age is 19. 19. So Leadership in these times is totally different from how it was in the olden times. Number two, there's a generational shift in thinking, right? Today's youth are raised in the digital age. A lot of you here started using iPad, iPhones from when you were young. So the generation of before were not raised with digital age. That's why a lot of people, if you come from maybe Nigeria, you will hear maybe your parents will say things like, why are you always on your phone? Why are you always on your iPad? Drop it, go out and play. Go out and talk to people. In our day, we used to go and ride bicycles. In our day, we used to play all these tinko, all these 10-10 games. That's how they always used to speak, right? But it's because where they grew up, the time they grew up was different from the time that we are growing up in. I'm a millennial, so I have half and half. So I grew up a bit in the analog age, and then Instagram, social media, and the digital age eventually came in. So I have both, sides, right? There's a lot of diversity of thought in this generation. There's a lot of fluid identity. Now, by fluid identity, I don't just mean, what's happening with the gender fluid identity. I also mean people have different identities. In terms of today, I want to be a painter. Tomorrow, I want to be a doctor. The next day, I want to be an influencer. There's a lot of fluid identity in this generation. Most people are not sure what they want to be, and they've been told by the digital age and by the media that you can be whatever you want to be at any point in time. If you start this, it doesn't work, pick up something else. So that's the majority of people living on this continent. Now, the way people think in this day is more collaboration and agility. Before, in the olden days, there was nothing like collaboration. Everyone was looking out for themselves. But looking at Africa today, our youth, our culture, our mindset is very different. And the reason why I'm laying this foundation is so that we can understand what the future looks like. This is Africa Leadership University, which means if you are done with school, you've graduated, you have some sort of seed of leadership on the inside of you. So I believe everyone here is a leader. So you're going to lead organizations. You might lead NGOs. Some of you might go into ministry. You might lead churches. You might lead mosques. You might lead whatever religion you practice, right? Everyone here is a leader. So for you to lead in this generation or to lead the next generation, you need to understand the demography of the generation. Now, leadership styles must evolve, right? You can't lead digital natives with analog frameworks. You can't. People that grow up in the digital space, you can't lead them the way people that grow up in the analog space grow up. That's why sometimes you have a lot of people clashing, especially with the Gen Zs. They say, I just don't understand these Gen Zs. You don't understand them because how you grow up is different from how they grew up. Some of our parents, some of the leaders of the previous generation grew up in war. Grew up where they don't know where their next meal is coming from. They grew up without TV, without music. But our generation now, we have Afrobeats, we have culture, we have festivals, we have education systems like this. So they can't understand it. Right? So this generation expects things like transparency, empathy, and purpose, not hierarchy and fear. The African culture, before this generation, our number one tool or weapon for ruling was fear. Even in parenting. Right? You are doing this. That's how you're not going to get married. It's fear. Especially for the ladies. It's fear they used to motivate you to get into marriage. It's fear they used to motivate you to pick a course in school. I remember when my younger brother one day, he wanted to study in school and he came and he met my father. I was like, oh, I'm ready to go to university. And that's my father. My father asked him, what do you want to do? He said, I want to do literature and I think it was photography. My father was looking at him. He said, my son, you are going to be a lawyer. He said, what is all that thing that you are saying? He said, so far I'm the one paying your school fees, you are going to read law. Part of the reason why I read engineering, right, is because of my father. I just had the ability to pick the kind of engineering I wanted to pick. Because I saw that oil money at that time in Nigeria, that's where the richest engineers were. So I just picked petroleum engineering. Not that I woke up one day and I saw myself in an oil field. I said, I would love to read oil and gas. No. My father only gave us 5 options. He said medicine, engineering, law, accounting, architecture. Pick out of the 5. Today, my senior brother is a medical doctor. I'm an engineer. My younger brother is a lawyer. My first of the youngest sisters, she's an accountant. The last one is an architect. So it was not about what we wanted. It was about what they wanted. And a lot of times our parents made those decisions for themselves. Every time my father is talking to someone, he'll say, well, my first son is a medical doctor. And you know the way they brag when they, yeah, he's an engineer. He's a lawyer. They did all these things for themselves. But that's how things were in that generation. But this generation likes empathy, likes transparency. Okay, we are going to contribute money for a project. Show us where the money is going. Right? You want to raise 1 million for your NGO. How did you spend this money? You have a national budget. Where is this money going to? A lot of times we just hear Nigeria signed $50 billion deal, bipartisan deal with Brazil. Oga, $50 billion. Where is what does that $15 billion mean? Is it $50 billion in trade? Is it $50 billion in revenue? Is it going to be an investment? What does it mean? So if you're going to lead in this generation, you can't repeat the patterns of old because people will kick you out of power very easily. This generation has more empathy. They desire more transparency. All right? Next slide. And like I said, the leadership of the past was a model called gerontocracy, which is old guards in power, gatekeeping institutions, and people that are very slow to change. There's a particular African president. I don't want to mention the country. I think he's almost 100. And he wants to run for office again. And he's the longest serving president. Right? I'm sure all of you know him. So that is how the leadership of those days were. Old guards in power. Gerontocracy is a system of leadership where it's only the elders that eat of the land. It's only the old people that eat of the land. You see people from 60 upwards. There's no place for the youth. They've been telling us since we are the leaders of tomorrow. When will tomorrow come? Is it when you are 40, 50, 60, you now tell your children and say, Rob, Susie, you are the leader of tomorrow? We can't do that. When is tomorrow going to come? So that's the way the system of old led. Now today, and for the future, we have youth-led, values-driven leadership, rooted in purpose. I mean, when I was listening to the panelists, I heard purpose about 4 or 5 times. I was like, wow, these guys really understand it. It's a fantastic university. Rooted in purpose, agility, and digital literacy. If you are a leader in this generation and you don't have digital literacy, you are just joking. You cannot not have digital literacy and want to lead this generation and the generation coming. Now, this generation of leaders is driven by networks, by peer accountability, by coalitions, not centralized power. It's about transformation, not preservation. Which means people that want to lead in this generation, they see that I have this strength, you have this strength, she has this strength. We come together because together we are faster, right? Together we are stronger. Coalitions, relationships is how this generation is going to lead in the future. I remember by privilege, I had the privilege to sit in on a particular election that we had in Nigeria. And there were some presidential candidates from different parties. And they wanted to form a coalition, right? Very sound leaders. There were about 5 of them. And I had a particular mentor at the time that he was one trying to help that coalition so that they pick one person, everybody goes behind them, and they lead. If you know anything about American politics, a lot of times you might have a particular candidate, right? That guy is not strong. The incumbents can just go and meet everybody and say, come, you guys, come behind my party and I'll give you this position. And that's how a party is dissolved. A lot of times that's how elections happen. You know? So 5 of them sitting in the room, accomplished, in politics, in business, in different areas of life. And we were trying to say, okay, let this person be the one that will lead the coalition, and everybody will bring all your supporters and put behind. We were there till 2 a.m. This one said, well, I have a PhD and I've run a particular state before, so I should be the one. Another one said, no, I've worked with the World Trade Organization. One said, I've worked with CBN. I'm like, we were there till 2 a.m. Guess what? No coalition. The person that entered eventually still entered. So this generation has to do things different. I was listening to you when you said, it's not about you. It's not about, you don't have to be the one to take Africa to where it's going. You can be part of the team. You don't have to be the one so that they say, oh, this person is the next Thomas Sankara. Do you understand? It doesn't have to be you. You can be part of the team that takes, because what it's about is Africa's freedom, Africa's development. Kwame Nkrumah said something when Ghana got their independence. He said, Ghana's independence means nothing if it doesn't tie into the total liberation of Africa. That was a man that understood purpose. It was not about him. He wasn't just going to say, oh, we are the first African nation to be free. Every other person should go and sort themselves out. No. That statement that he made, it stuck with me. For a long time, that is not about me. If you are going to lead, it's not about you. It's about the people that you are leading. That's how the leadership of this generation and the next is going to be different. Next, please. Now, everyone here, right, is a leader. But there are roots of leadership. At every point in time, something will happen to you in life that inspires that seed of leadership to take place. Nobody is born with that leadership thing. Yes, in terms of personality types, there are some people that have more. There are 4 types of personality. I don't know if you guys know. There's the choleric, there's the melancholic, the sanguine, the phlegmatic. There are some personalities that usually would like to go into more leadership positions. From when they are young, you see them, they want to be the class captain. When they are playing football, they want to be the captain. When they want to do student union committee, they are the ones that run for election. Yes, personality-wise, there are some people who are more leaning towards leadership. However, it's not a trait when they give birth to you and say, oh, leadership is no. It's cultivated. Something happens that makes you want to lead. And everybody here is a leader. And out of all these 3, there must have been one of those things that would have happened to you that makes you, or that made you say, I want to lead. Number 1 is church assignments. Right? Breakthrough leadership often emerges when you are pushed beyond your comfort. Pressure reveals capacity. Embrace pressure. Don't be that generation that runs from pressure. At one point in your life, you were under some sort of pressure that showed you that you can actually lead. Maybe you are in a particular team and they told all of you guys to submit an assignment and everybody was just messing around. And you know that you don't want your name to be attached to failure. They didn't nominate you leader, but you said, lie. So far my name is there. This assignment must turn out well. And you came into leadership. And from then, it started making you class captain, group assignment leader. Right? For me, when I was working in Abuja, in Nigeria, as our capital city, as a particular, so I was working in business development, and in business development, because I'm working in the oil and gas sector, there's some information that you need to be able to get. So we're close to where the oil and gas activities were happening. That was Abuja. And there's a particular piece of information that my boss wanted me to get. And he had sent me, and I had gone to the particular office, and I had tried to get that piece of information, but I couldn't get it. And I called my boss. I said, sir, it's very difficult. It's very impossible to get this piece of information. And he said one thing. He said, no, sir. He said, don't come back to this office without that piece of information. It sounds similar, right? That's the same thing my father did to me. You are not going for masters until you sell this. I was under pressure. And I knew that I did not want to go back and disappoint my boss. Guess what? I found a way to get that piece of information. And I got it. I went back to the office. I showed my boss and I was brimming. He said, sit down. He now looked at me. He said, so how do you feel? I said, I feel good. He said, that's good. Get out of my office. But that thing taught me something. that there is always a way. Once you're under pressure, your true capacity, you will know it. A lot of people don't know their capacity because life has not squeezed you well enough. If you don't know where your next meal is coming from, if you have people under you, your sisters, your brothers, that you need to take care of, it turns you into a leader. So some people, through life, some of those things might have happened to that stretched you, and you now realize that I actually have leadership on the inside of me. The second point, developmental relationships. Maybe you had a teacher or a boss who believes in you. It can change your life path. Or you had a mother or a father that said, I believe in you. You can do this. Some of those seeds is what has made some of you guys leaders today. Now, if you're in Africa, it's 50-50. You might have had parents that believed in you. You might have had parents that did not believe in you. I always tell people, I say, so far you're an African, you have one type of trauma or the other. Don't lie to yourself. Africa will take something from you. You know, if you are a Nigerian, in fact, Nigerians in the house, you know. You know. There's some sort of trauma. Whether it's from childhood, from your parents, from school, whatsoever it is, from the society. It might just be on your own, they'll just come and steal your bag. Do you understand? Like some sort of trauma. Right? So some of these situations, developmental relationships, when you have someone that believes in you, that says you can do it, despite what is happening, you can do it. I was reading this book that came out by Femi Otedola, that Making It Big book. And he said something. It was like a whole chapter he had on his father. And I was like, wow. He said his father, from when he was young, his father believed in him. Whenever he says, Daddy, I want to go into business, his dad would be like, don't worry, you can do it. Come and work with me, I'll teach you the ropes. There was a time, I think he was maybe in high school, and he went to meet his dad because he wanted to be a businessman, and he saw that his dad had like a briefcase. He said, Dad, give me a briefcase. I want to be taking it to school so that he can be feeling like a businessman. His dad gave it to him. He dropped out of school. His mother almost passed out. His dad said, don't worry, leave him. This guy is going to be great. He met one of the presidents of the country. The man who looked at him and said, you are a great man. So those pieces of affirmation, some of us have had to pass through that phase that made you think that, I can actually do it. And the root of leadership was established on the inside of you. And thirdly, setbacks or mistakes. Maybe a parent died. Siblings died. Something unfortunate happened to you. You had a setback. Maybe everyone is graduating to the next class. They held you back. Right? Something terrible happened. Some sort of failure. And that puts the roots of leadership on the inside of you. Now, failure is not defeat. I always tell people, if you make failure a destination, you are finished forever. Always make failure an event. Failure should be an event, not a destination. You do not say, I'm a failure. You say, I failed at this, and I will find a better way to do it next time. Right? Failure should be an event, not a destination. Setbacks that you have in life, they fertilize resilience and learning. I think it was Thomas Edison that said, when they said that he failed 99 times before he got the light bulb, he said, no, I just found 99 ways not to do it. That's mindset. So your mindset should always be like, even though I failed at this, I now know what to do better. Personally, I've started up to 4 businesses that failed throughout my years. But I never stopped. I said I will still continue and I will get it right. So setbacks or failures usually plant the seed of leadership into us. Now, next slide, please. No, this is not next. The one before this. Stories of transformation. Do we have that? Okay. We'll go to this. Stories of transformation, or you can just go to the unlocking. Okay, this is good. All right. So now, if you want to unlock purpose-driven leadership in your life, there are 5 steps. You want to be a leader of any sort. Number 1, find your why. Why do I want to lead? And that's very important. A lot of the leadership we have on the continent of Africa, a lot of people in the presidency of some of these countries, they don't know why they are there. Their why is not strong enough. If I ask you now, why do you want to lead? Why do you want to start that business? Is it because you saw that Jeff Bezos did his wedding in Venice? And you're like, this guy has money. I'm going to be the next tech giant. No, that's not a strong enough why. Find your why. Right? Know what drives you. What's your deepest motivation? That deepest motivation now becomes your anchor. Whenever people ask me my why, I tell them my why very simply. Right? This is my why. I'm going to just give it to you guys in one sentence. This is my why. To be a light to Africans, such that Africans light up Africa, and Africa lights up the world. That's my why. Right? So, if you followed me on social media at any point in time, there's no how you will come across a piece of my content and something in you doesn't spark. Because my why is to be a light to you all. There are some of you here that are highly flammable, that once the fire touches you, you guys can touch a generation. I just want to be the spark. If you go to, like I'm in oil and gas sector, and usually they will say PMS, AGO, PMS is highly flammable, which means there's the minimum level of spark that you give to it, and the whole station or the whole depot can catch fire. There are some of you like that here. You just need something to spark you. And a country is transformed. A business is transformed. A community is transformed. That's my why. I don't want to be president. I don't want to be prime minister. It's not in my own plan for my life. It's just that because somebody listened to me, they went back, and that business that they had shelved, they started it. That office they wanted to run for, they ran for it. That job they wanted to apply that they were scared for, they were scared about, they applied to it. That's my why. So my question to you is, what is your own why? Right? So after you found your why, you've clarified it. Find your lane. There's why, but there's location. You can't be everywhere. Try it. There are some people that they just want they want to be world peace. They want the whole world to just be okay. It's not possible. Find your lane. Lead there. It can be in politics. It can be in business. It can be in sports. It can be in health, finance, beauty. Find your lane and lead there. Don't get distracted by noise or by comparison. We live in a day and age where comparison is now the meat of the day. But she has 2,000 followers. But she has 5,000 followers. But she was invited on the panel at AIU. They didn't invite me. Can't they see that myself, I'm doing something great? No. Don't be distracted by the noise. Impact begins where you are called. From that particular position, impact begins. Right? So after you found your why, find your lane and lead there. Number 3, seek mentoring and networks. Remember I said that the leadership of this generation and the next is going to be a collaborative type of leadership. Build connections that sharpen you. Wise choices. Make wise choices with the people that are around you. The wrong relationship can take you out of your destiny. The wrong relationship can destroy your business. In fact, if you marry the wrong person, you are finished. I can tell you that one for free. I know we're not talking marriage here, but that's how important it is about making wise choices about your relationships, whether in school, whether in business, whether in life. Number 4, embrace resilience. Treat failures as feedback, like I said. Failure is an event, not a destination. Leadership is built on scars. When you say you're a general of war, a lot of people, I see 5-star generals. One of my mentors always used to say, they said, beware of generals with stars without scars. So you see a general, you say, I'm a 5-star general. I have stars. Show me your scars. Because for you to have been promoted to that level, you must have gone through war. You must have gone through battles. Maybe they cut one ear off. Maybe a bullet touched you and they sewed your body back together. Somebody used a knife to stab. Beware of generals with stars, without scars. Right? So for you to be a leader, especially on the continent of Africa, you have to be resilient. Because Africa will Africa you. You know that this continent is very, 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 very different from every other continent. So you have to have that seed of resilience. And then lastly, like my dear brother said, it's not about you. It's not about your name. It's not about your platform. It's not about the likes, the followers. It's about who you serve. Who are you called to serve? What's the demographic of people you are called to serve? It's about them. It's about what you are going to do for them. True leadership is understanding people, not expecting them to understand you. It's not about you, it's about them. Right? So it's about who you serve. In particular news, a magazine reached out to me. They are a popular magazine in the US. In fact, two of them. They reached out to me, sent me a DM. They said, "Oh, we love what you are doing on social media. We would like to feature you in our magazine." And I asked the guy a simple question. I said, "Who is your audience?" He said, "Well, we have a lot of people in Europe. We have a lot of people in the US. We have a lot of people in Middle East that we can expand your reach towards that area." And I said something to him. I said, "I'm not called to those people. I'm called to Africans." And I declined it. Not because it wasn't something that will help my brand. Imagine if, 100,000 African people know me. Then 1 million people from the middle. I become bigger, my brand becomes bigger, I become more popular. But because I've clarified my why, I found my lane. I knew the people I was called to serve, Africans. I declined the offer. So it's not about you. I keep saying it's not about you. Who are you called to serve? Find the pain points of those people. Find the problem of those people and serve them. If you're a business person here, that's business. Simple business. Find the problem, be the solution. You make money. There's no business today, no matter how superficial it looks, that is not solving a problem. There are some that are making people get bigger. There are some that are making people get smaller. There are some that are attaching things to people's bodies. Is a problem that they are solving for those people. Whether you think you don't like it, it can never be you. It's not your business. Those people are making money. Right? So if you're a leader or you're a business owner, find the people that you are called to serve. It's not about you. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, I always tell people, I say, one of the greatest issues we have in Africa is not our stories. It's our storytellers, number one. Number two is our media. A lot of us, all Africans here, some people were colonized by the British, some by the French, some by the Spanish. But the major country during the colonization today is America, because they have the biggest media houses. Netflix, America. CNN, America. Amazon Prime, America. E-News, America. Everything you listen to or you know about the world, America. So they hold the key to storytelling. Which is why when we're young, especially in Nigeria and some other African countries, they say, when you are done with school here, go abroad and do your masters. Go abroad and get a good job. Why? Why did they feel abroad was better? Because of the stories they told them about abroad. If you check the top 10 billionaires in America, each one of them owns at least one media house. Whether it's a newspaper, whether it's a TV station, whether it's magazine, they own it. Why? The narrative. He who controls the narrative controls the country. A lot of people now, if you hear about a particular country that the American president loves calling and loves fighting with, he will mention them. He say, "Oh, we are going to ban them from coming to this country," because they are telling a story that they don't like China. They are the ones that, do we know if whatever they say about all these countries is actually true? How do we know? Is it not their news stations that are telling the story? How do we actually know that what they say about those countries is true? Then about our own country, when a lot of you watch Hollywood movies, when they are showing Italy, they are showing France, they are showing the US, you see lights, You see cars. You see beauty. When they show Africa, the light on the screen, it goes brown. When they are showing Mexico, it goes brown. Then they show Africa. They show elephants. Thank you. They show huts. They show buses, run down buses and refuse on the ground. That's why the people there, ask them an African nation. They don't know. They think Africa is a country. They ask, do you guys actually have cars and places there? Do you have schools? Don't blame them. It's what they have indoctrinated them with because they own the media. That's the power of storytelling. A lot of you, yes, you might come from countries that you don't necessarily like. But I've been to a lot of European countries. See, there are slums there. There are slums there. I've been to Paris. There are slums there. I've been to Barcelona. There are slums there. I've been to UK. There are some places you will go there like, this is London. But they don't show it on their TV. How many of us have watched Emily in Paris on Netflix? There's this particular lady, she came from the US, she's in Paris. If you look at the screen resolution, then I think she went to Italy next. You see the screen resolution. They show you all the places that she should visit. Because those countries are paying those American Hollywood stars to talk about their countries. But we here, all we talk about is what is bad with the country. If you're a Nigerian, you must have said one bad thing about your country. Do you understand? Tell the stories that you want people to see about the country. If people are going to come into this country, that's one thing I love about. I've been in Rwanda for about a year now. Rwanda is a beautiful country. Beautiful country. In fact, for me, all the country I've been to, 8 African countries, is the best country I've been to, including my own. Because rule of law, number one, is what I found out about this country. If they tell you, you cannot move, you cannot move. If they tell you if you cross the zebra crossing, you will pay a fine, you will pay the fine. They tell you that it's speeding. In fact, I've gotten up to 3 speeding tickets because I thought that they were joking when they said it's 60 kilometers. I just received a text on my phone. You passed this place at 62 kilometers at Kichukiro Bend. Your fine is 25,000 francs. Go and pay so and so time. A country that works. But who is telling the story? I was telling one of my uncles I should visit Rwanda. He will love it. He said, Rwanda. He puts it on Google. Go and check what Rwanda looks like on Google. Go and check if you see a particular Google link that says, is Rwanda safe to visit? Go and check if they will say Rwanda is safe. They will say, no, there's one in Rwanda. They are fighting with DRC. That's what they will say. Because the Federal Aviation Authority is the one that is on Google that tells people if it's safe to visit a country. Whenever it's every African country, there's no African country under FAA that is not a level 3 above in terms of danger. Why? They don't want people to come here. Because it means money is leaving the West and coming here. It means investment is leaving. They want to be the ones to come and invest quietly. Take over some areas, get the oil, get the raw materials, and no other person knows. So they will tell the story. Go and check your phones. Is it safe to visit South Africa? Is it safe to visit Nigeria? Is one war that is happening in one small location in Nigeria that they will use and amplify? They will say, oh, there's quarrel, there are things happening in the DRC and Rwanda, there's conflict. So the whole Rwanda, nobody should visit. Is it not the UCI championships that are happening today? Is the place not safe? Is the place not beautiful? Is anybody being harmed? No. But we won't tell the stories. We're just going on TikTok and talking about nonsense. We'll watch a show in the US, we'll talk about the show in the US. We will not talk about what's happening here. That's the power of storytelling and thought leadership. When the leaders share the stories to young people, they will tell you your background does not define you. That inspires you to keep going on, right? Your story will resonate in different communities. You have to be able to use storytelling as a cultural switch code. Say, oh, I went to Rwanda. This was what was beautiful about the land. Oh, I went to Nigeria. This was beautiful about the land. Oh, I went to Ghana. This was beautiful about the land. Went to Tanzania. Right? As much as your eyes can see some of the things that are bad, that's not what we should see. The ambassadors of Africa should be African. Right? So that's my charge for you guys today. Use your social media. Use the tools you have in your hands. We are in the most digital age Africa has ever seen. Yes, there are some things you don't like. But there are some things those guys don't like also. But they're not telling the stories. So use your tools as a power for thought leadership and for storytelling. I can't tell you how many people that I've told on my social media, maybe I've told a particular type of story, maybe okay, this happened, that happened, and all of a sudden, the person wanted to start business. In fact, I've seen a lot of people. I did one post and I was talking about that people think that the tea in the UK or so and so is good. But how about have you tasted the tea in Rwanda? Have you tasted the coffee in Rwanda? Most people don't know that this English tea that you talk about, Britain does not produce up to 1% of the tea that they consume. But it's called English tea. Abi? You say they get their tea from. They get tea from Kenya, from Rwanda. They call it English tea. When they say, which country drinks the most tea? England. So tea belongs to England. But it doesn't. Why? They told stories. If you watch Bridgerton, they say, oh, do you want some tea and cookies? Right? Cocoa, Ivory Coast. Who has chocolate? Switzerland. Shea butter, Nigeria. Who uses it on makeup? The US. So, we have it all, but they are telling better stories. Therefore, when somebody wants to buy something, they go there to buy it. So please use your tools as a medium to tell better stories. Change the narrative from Africa is failing to Africa has risen. Not is rising, has risen. Because if you have risen, she has risen, he has risen, Africa has risen. We don't need 100% at one time to rise. Some people will rise first. Then they wake up the next person. Then they wake up the next person. That's how a movement starts. Remember, like I said, I just want to be a light to you. Wake you up. You go back home. I said, man, I listened to this guy today. Talk to your sister. We need to be serious about our lives. We need to do this, we need to do that. Before you know it, you start a movement, you start a company. Somebody else sees it. And then it keeps spreading like wildfire. So change the narrative from Africa. Africa is not failing. Africa has risen. Okay? Next slide, please. Now, this is one of my best slides. What is our superpower in Africa that no other nation can say, no other continent can say they have? Number one, like I've said, our youthful population. We have a reservoir of energy, reservoir of ideas, reservoir of potential. That's our superpower, our youth. Number two, resilience. History has taught us adaptation and survival. If you're an African, you've had to be resilient at one point in time. Even at the history of our land. Look at the history of Rwanda. They had to be resilient. Rwanda had to be resilient to get to where it is today. If one man didn't come and say, we are going to rebuild our land, will Rwanda be here today? No. Resilience. So that seed of resilience is already in the history of our different nations. If you have time, it's a very voluminous book, That State of Africa by Meredith, something you should read it. It shows us about from when all the African countries were colonized, how each of them broke free from colonialism. First was Ghana, to tell you about the wars. Then it will go to Egypt. Then it will go to the DRC. Then it will go to Rwanda. Then it will go to a lot of all these countries. You will see the fights to break free. There was bloodshed a lot of times to break free. So how would all those people die for our freedom? And then we just decide that we just want to coast? No. Africa has risen. We must be resilient. No matter what happens to you, you get up and you get at it again. That's one of the superpowers we have in Africa. Number three, diversity. 54 countries, 2,000 languages, countless perspectives. Is what I call innovation through plurality. We are many. 2,000 languages. Do you know what that means? 2,000 languages. So embrace this diversity. This diversity is key. How they do things in Rwanda will be different from how they do it in Kenya. Will be different from how they will do it in Nigeria, in South Africa. That diversity is our superpower. Lastly, our growth mindset. Young Africans want accountability. They want possibility thinking. They are no longer waiting for permission. I'm seeing a lot of young people doing great stuff. Great Africans, young, 19, 20, 23. I've heard a lot of people here. Some have started businesses from campus. Nobody's asking for permission again. And that is a gift. Because before, we will ask them, can I run for office? They'll say, no, it's not your time. You sit back. You come again another 5 years. You ask for permission. Please, can I run for office? They say no. Can I start a business? No. But this generation is no longer waiting for permission. We are doing it anyway. Nobody is going to give you permission to lead. Nobody should give you permission to run for office. Nobody should give you permission to start that business. It's a superpower. Right? So that is Africa's superpower. Next slide. Now, there's a story of this man called George Danzig. Now, let me tell you his story. He attended, I think, Columbia University in the US. And they were in a session like this. And he fell asleep. Right? And then when he fell asleep and he lifted up his head from the table, he looked at the screen. And he saw that there were some problems, math problems on the board. And then he was like, he spoke to his classmates, like, why didn't anybody tell me that? And the teacher gave us assignments or homework. So he wrote those questions down and he went home to his dormitory. And I was like, okay, there's assignments. So he started writing, trying to solve the assignments. There were 3 problems. He solved the first one. And I was like, he couldn't solve the other one. So he went back to class the next day. And then when the lecturer was in class, the lecturer was just teaching like nothing happened. And I asked the lecturer, he said, you gave us homework, you gave us assignments. Why didn't you ask for it? And then the lecturer said, that was not assignment. These were the 3 unsolvable problems in the mathematics industry. But the guy said, but I solved one. The lecturer said, it's not possible. When the lecturer now saw it, he found out that the guy had solved it. Why? Because nobody told him that it was impossible. He saw it and all he thought that it was assignment. It had to be done. That's what happens when nobody puts a limit on your brain. So my question to you is, what will you do if they told you nothing was impossible? What will you attempt to do? There are some things you've not done because somebody has sown a seed of limitation, a seed of lack, a seed of inability. Look at the guy. He just woke up. He didn't even pay attention in class. He just went and he solved it. And he went down in history as one of the mathematicians that solved an unsolvable problem. So that's what I will leave you with today. What would you do if nobody told you it was impossible? Next slide. You are not waiting for a change. You should be the change. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. You see a problem, don't wait for somebody else to solve it. Now, my own story, how I started this Pan-African journey. Like I told you, I wanted to work for Shell. I wanted to go offshore and make the big bucks and travel all around the globe. There was nothing that concerned me with Africa. Let me be honest with you. So I did not see an African map when I was 5 and I said, oh my goodness, I just love this country. No. I did not care about anybody in this room before. I will tell you the honest truth. I just wanted what was good for me, my family, and my life. But as a result of the job that I do, right, I've had the opportunity to visit 8 African countries. So when I first went to, I think I went to Ghana at first. And I looked at Ghana, I was like, wow, fantastic country. I spoke to a lot of people. I was like, oh, these are the things I'm seeing in this country. What do you guys think about it? They were like, well, the government is the one that is meant to do it. The government is meant to do it. The problem is the entrepreneurs. I went to Senegal, same thing. I went to Cote d'Ivoire, same thing. I went to Guinea-Conakry, same thing. I went to Tanzania, same thing. In my country, of course, same thing. And then I was like, who is going to solve this problem? When are we going to wait for a government that is actually going to solve this problem? Every 4, 5, 6, 7 years, we hope the next government is going to solve it. Then somebody comes, they build road, and the whole party puts balloons and snap and say, my administration built 2 kilometers of road. So we celebrate achievements, no impact. A lot of Africans here, we love visibility, no impact. Bill Gates will come to a country, will snap a picture with him and say, oh, I was so privileged to snap with the billionaire. What's the impact that picture has done for your community around you? Nothing. So a lot of Africans, we love visibility so that people can see us in a certain way, see us as wealthy, see us as important, but it doesn't lead to impact. So when I saw that, I said, okay, if no one is going to solve this problem, let me contribute my own quota. That's how all these things started. I can still remember the first video I put out, and I sat down. I said, I've been to East African countries, and I've been to the West. And the difference between them and us is our mindset. They think it's possible. We see AI, we see the internet boom, we see beauty, we see everything. They think it's possible. How many of us have heard of the American dream? People outside America want to go to America because they've told them, if you come to America, nobody can come from nowhere and become something in America. They've told them it's possible. So that's why I started what I was doing. And then from one video, I will see that somebody will be like, wow, this video touched me. Because of this, this will happen. Then another video. And then it started sparking curiosity. The reason why a lot of you are seeing me here today is somebody probably came across my video and went across some other ones. I was like, this guy is doing something that can help Africa. That's why you see me here today. So like I say, do not wait for someone else to change it. Be the change that you desire to see. Thank you.